Ella's heels clicked against the wet pavement, echoing through the narrow alley. She knew she should have turned the corner hours ago, should have gone straight home. But curiosity had a way of rooting her in place. A shout broke the night, sharp and violent. And she froze. Shadows moved at the far end of the alley, figures larger than life. Faces twisted in fury. A man fell. Blood spread quickly, dark and glistening on the asphalt. Her stomach lurched. They hadn't seen her yet. She tried to shrink into the wall, her breath catching in her throat. Suddenly, one of them looked up, and their eyes met, cold, calculating, aware. Panic surged like fire through her veins. She turned and ran, adrenaline screaming through her body. The alley felt endless. Her heart hammered in her ears as she sprinted, rain slick against the bricks. She dared a glance back. They were moving, fast to fast. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound a threat. Her mind screamed one word: run. The heavy thud of boots echoed behind me, getting closer. I skidded around a corner, my breath catching in my throat. The alleyways twisted into a maze, and my phone slipped from my slick hands, clattering on the wet pavement. I scrambled over puddles and trash, my only thought being to survive. And then a blur of motion. A motorcycle engine roared to life, a deep growl in the night. A man appeared, a ghost in a black leather jacket, tattoos snaking up his arms. He positioned the bike between me and the men chasing me. One of them swung a heavy chain. Metal clanged as the biker met it with a brutal kick, sending the guy sprawling. I couldn't breathe. Who was he? His green eyes met mine for a split second before he turned back to the fight, his movements fluid, deadly. The gang scattered like rats, and just like that, he was gone, a phantom on a black machine. A warning chilled me to the bone. Someone is watching, and not all saviors are saints. Hours later, I sat on the edge of my bed, my hair still damp, my hands trembling. The memory of that alley, it replayed with every single heartbeat. The shadows, the blood, the roar of that motorcycle, and him. I just couldn't get the tattooed stranger out of my mind. Who was he? Why did he save me? And why did I feel, strangely, safe with someone who looked so dangerous? I checked the lock on my apartment door again. Outside, the city was alive with rain and neon, but inside, it was just silent. I closed my eyes, trying to remember every detail about him, his sharp jawline, the intensity in his eyes. Those intricate tattoos. A sudden noise outside my window made my heart hammer. I peeked out. But there was nothing. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that he was out there, watching, and a question burned in my mind. Who was he, really? The city hummed with rain and neon, but inside my friend's apartment, my pulse was screaming. Every shadow, every siren, felt like a warning. They were hunting me. A news alert confirmed it. Witness sought. My stomach twisted into a knot. Then a figure emerged from the shadows outside. Ryder, the tattooed stranger from the alley. His voice was low and smooth, with just enough edge to send a shiver down my spine. I told you to stay indoors. How did he find me? Before I could ask, gang members rounded the corner. Ryder moved like lightning, pulling me behind him. A fist flew, he caught it. A knife flashed, he blocked it. We moved as one through the alleys, our hearts pounding in sync. Stay close, he commanded. When we were safe, his gaze lingered on me, warm yet unreadable. You're lucky, he said. Maybe I was just lucky he was there. He smirked, and then, like smoke, he was gone again. The next night, I found myself in a quiet cafe, the rain drumming a soft beat against the windows. I was waiting for Ryder, pretending our meeting was just a coincidence. He slid into the seat across from me, his tattoos hidden by a black hoodie, but his eyes were the same intense, green, and impossible to look away from. My voice was barely a whisper when I asked, "Why are you helping me?" He took a slow sip of his coffee, his gaze never leaving mine. It was a strange mix of warmth and danger that sent a shiver down my spine. "Let's just say I have my reasons," he said, his voice low. I pressed, "Personal reasons? Are they connected to the gang?" He leaned back, tapping his fingers on the mug. "Something like that. But don't think you understand the whole story. Not yet." Our eyes locked, and the silence between us felt heavier than any words could be. The world around us just faded away, the soft hum of conversations, the clinking of spoons. The rain outside it was all just a blur. All that existed was this charged space between us. Suddenly, a loud crash from outside, a motorcycle skidding on the wet street, made me jump. In a flash, Ryder's hand shot out and brushed against mine. It felt like an electric shock. He leaned in closer, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through me. "Stay with me, trust me." My heart was pounding in my chest. I wanted to lean in, to close the distance, but every part of my brain was screaming danger. Still, his presence was addictive, pulling me in like gravity. Later, as we walked through the rain-slicked streets, he stopped abruptly. He reached out and gently brushed a wet strand of hair from my face. The moment stretched on forever. We were so close I could feel the warmth of his breath, almost hear the steady beat of his heart. I thought he was going to kiss me, but he didn't. He just held the moment, that fleeting, electrifying touch. "You're reckless," I murmured, my voice shaky. A small smirk played on his lips. "Not reckless. Careful, in my own way." He paused, and then added, almost shyly, "I protect what matters." I desperately wanted to ask him what mattered, what he was protecting. But I held back. I had a feeling that some truths aren't just given to you, they have to be revealed in their own time. And I was starting to think, maybe, just maybe, I was willing to wait. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next part of the story. A few days went by, and life seemed to almost settle into a strange new normal. Almost. But just when Ella thought she could finally catch her breath, a tiny clue changed everything. It happened in the dead of night. The apartment was dark and quiet. The only light coming from the moon filtering through the blinds. Suddenly, Ryder's phone buzzed on the nightstand. Ella's eyes flickered open, drawn to the screen. Before he could snatch it away, she saw a name flash across the screen. It was a name she didn't recognize, but it sent a chill down her spine. It was a name that screamed trouble, a name tied to the very gang that had turned her world upside down. Ryder quickly silenced the phone and turned it face down, but it was too late. The damage was done. A cold, hard knot formed in Ella's stomach. He had secrets. Not just small, everyday secrets, but big, dangerous ones. A part of her, the part that had fallen for his quiet strength and protective gaze, screamed at her to trust him. But another voice, a colder, more rational one, whispered in her ear. A sliver of doubt, sharp and painful, lodged itself in her chest, and she couldn't ignore it. The silence in the room was deafening, thick with unspoken questions. Finally, Ella found her voice. Though it was barely a whisper, "Why didn't you tell me about that?" The question hung in the air. Between them, heavy and loaded with accusation. She watched him, waiting for an explanation, for him to erase the fear that was quickly taking root. Ryder turned to look at her, and in the dim light, his green eyes seemed to soften, filled with an emotion she couldn't quite decipher. But he didn't answer her question. Instead, a faint, enigmatic smile touched his lips, a smile that told her nothing and everything all at once. Staring at him, Ella felt her heart and her mind pull into different directions. Who can I trust? The question echoed in her head. The man who had saved her, who had held her when she was falling apart, was now the source of her deepest fears. A chilling realization settled over her. The storm wasn't over. It wasn't even close. And Ryder, he wasn't just her protector. He was a part of the chaos, tangled in the same dangerous web she was trying to escape. The real danger, she was beginning to understand, might have been sleeping beside her all along. Thanks for watching. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. See you in the next video. The rain was coming down in sheets, turning the city streets into a slick, black mirror reflecting the angry glare of headlights right behind us, every corner we took. Every shadow that stretched across the asphalt felt like it was hiding another threat. I could feel my breath catch in my throat, my heart hammering against my ribs. The pistol Ryder had given me was cold and heavy in my hand, but my fingers weren't just trembling from fear. There was this electricity, this current that seemed to flow from him to me, making the air thick with tension. Ryder moved with a deadly grace, like a predator stalking its prey. He was all fluid motion and sharp, precise actions. Then they were there. A group of them, emerging from the darkness like spectres, the engines of their motorcycles roaring to life. The glint of knives under the sickly yellow streetlights sent a fresh wave of ice through my veins. Stay behind me. Ryder's voice was a sharp bark, a command that cut through the noise. And then all hell broke loose. The crack of bullets shattered the night. It was a deafening symphony of chaos metal screaming against metal, the sharp, acrid smell of gunpowder mixing with the scent of wet asphalt. Ryder was a blur of motion, a punch here, a kick there. A throw that sent a man flying. He was brutally efficient, taking them down one by one. But even in the middle of the fight, his eyes would flick to me, a quick, intense glance to make sure I was still there, still breathing. Suddenly, a figure lunged at me from a dark alleyway. My instincts took over. I raised the gun, squeezed the trigger, the shot went wide, ricocheting off a dumpster with a loud ping, but it was enough. The man froze, startled for just a fraction of a second, and that was all Ryder needed. He was on him in an instant, a sweeping kick sending the man sprawling to the ground. Not bad. He yelled over the chaos, his voice rough with adrenaline. His eyes blazing with a fierce light. Keep moving. My heart was a wild drum against my chest as I followed him, running through the rain-slick streets, leaping over slippery gutters, the city's neon signs a chaotic smear of color all around us. We were dodging danger at every single turn, and in that frantic, terrifying moment, a realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. It was exhilarating. I belonged here, not tucked away behind rules and safe walls, but right here, beside him, fighting for my life. I felt alive, alert, and more than that, I felt needed. Just as I thought we might have a second to breathe, a shadow fell across our path, another one. His knife drawn, blocking our escape. I hesitated, my resolve faltering, but then Ryder's hand found mine, his fingers wrapping around my own in a brief, hard squeeze. Now, he commanded. I didn't think, I just acted. I fired again. This time I didn't miss. The bullet hit the man in the shoulder, and he screamed, the knife clattering to the pavement. For a fleeting moment, a ghost of a smile touched Ryder's lips. It was a dangerous, thrilling mix of pride and peril. I could do this. I could survive this world. Maybe, just maybe, I could even survive him. But as his hand pulled me forward again, deeper into the neon-drenched maze of the city, I knew one thing for sure. The chase was far from over. Later, hiding in the dim corner of a deserted cafe, dripping wet, Ryder finally let his guard down. He leaned against the wall, tracing the edge of his tattooed forearm. His gaze lost beyond the rain-streaked windows. "You need to know why I'm doing this," he said. His voice low. "I wasn't always this." Ella leaned closer, her heart hammering. "What do you mean?" Ryder sighed, the words carrying the weight of his past. "The gang, it's complicated. I owe them, but I have a code. I protect people I care about. And you didn't ask for any of this. I couldn't let them hurt you." Her chest tightened. Everything clicked into place, the danger, the glances, the way he always seemed to be there. He wasn't just a stranger, he was her shield. He moved closer, rain dripping from his hair onto her shoulder. "I shouldn't, but I want to keep you safe." Ella's lips parted. "I trust you." The tension between them finally erupted. Ryder leaned in, capturing her lips in a fierce, urgent kiss, but a sudden roar of motorcycles outside shattered the moment. He pulled back, forehead resting against hers. "They're coming," he whispered. "Hey everyone, and welcome back to our story breakdown series. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intense and pivotal moments of the entire narrative, Scene 10, the trap at the docks. This is where everything changes for Ryder and Ella, and frankly, it's a masterclass in building tension, action, and character development all at once. So grab your popcorn and let's get into it. The scene opens with our heroes, Ryder and Ella, following a lead. They believe they're one step ahead, heading to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the docks. The atmosphere is already thick with suspense. You can practically smell the rain, the rust, and the oil. As they step inside, the trap is sprung. Those massive metal doors slam shut with a sound that just echoes finality. It's a classic setup, but the execution here is what makes it so brilliant. The sound design alone, that deafening clang, tells you there's no turning back. Suddenly, shadows are moving everywhere. It's not just one or two bad guys. The story makes it clear they are overwhelmingly outnumbered. This isn't a fair fight. It's an ambush. Ryder's reaction is instant. His jaw clenches, and he utters those two iconic words. "Stay close." This isn't just a command, it's a promise. It establishes his role as the protector, but also signals his vulnerability. He can't do this alone. He needs to keep Ella safe. Then, all hell breaks loose. Bullets fly through the darkness, ricocheting off the steel beams. The visual of sparks flying in the gloom is just incredible. Ella, who up until this point has been more of an investigator than a fighter, is thrown into the deep end. Her heart is hammering as she dives for cover. This is the moment she realizes the chilling truth. The gang wasn't just waiting for them, they predicted their every move. This raises the stakes immensely. Their enemy isn't just ruthless, they're intelligent. Ryder pulls her behind a stack of pallets, his voice low and urgent. "Keep your head down. Follow my lead." This line is crucial. It establishes their dynamic in the midst of chaos. He's the seasoned veteran, and she has to trust him completely. The narrative then does something really cool. It slows down time. Each moment is described as a heartbeat stretched between fear and trust. This allows us, the audience, to live in that terrifying space with them, feeling every ounce of their fear and their growing reliance on each other. The action choreography that follows is just breathtaking. Ryder is described as moving like a ghost. He's not just a brawler, he's a phantom in the chaos, taking down attackers with brutal, almost surgical precision. He's not just surviving, he's dominating his environment, even when the odds are stacked against him. But this isn't just the Ryder show. Ella isn't a damsel in distress cowering in a corner. She's an active participant. She waits for his signal and then fires strategically. Her courage is a beacon in the terror, showing she's just as much a part of this fight. This leads to my favorite moment in the entire sequence. Ryder gets cornered. 3 guys, one of him. It looks like it could be the end, but without even a second of hesitation. Ella acts. She takes a shot, not necessarily to hit, but to distract. It's a smart, calculated move that shows her quick thinking under unimaginable pressure. That split-second distraction is all Ryder needs to turn the tables and neutralize the threat. It's a perfect example of teamwork, of two people becoming more than the sum of their parts, and then, the moment that made everyone's heart stop, their eyes meet. The story describes it as a mix of terror, relief, and something else, something undeniably magnetic. The chaos fades away for just one beat. The world is bullets and violence, but in that look, there's a universe of unspoken emotion. He reaches out and gently brushes the rain-soaked hair from her face. It's such a small, tender gesture in the middle of a brutal firefight. And his line, "Not bad for your first real fight," delivered in a low, almost teasing voice, is just perfect. It's a release of tension. A moment of intimacy that feels earned and incredibly powerful. This scene is where their bond is truly forged in fire. It's not just a romance subplot. Their connection is integral to their survival. Fear, adrenaline, romance, and survival all become one and the same. Every shared glance, every touch, every breath they take in sync makes them a formidable unit. This isn't just an action scene, it's the birth of a partnership that will define the rest of the story. It shows that in the face of overwhelming darkness, the connection between two people can be the most powerful weapon of all. What did you guys think of this scene? Did that moment between them get you too? Let me know your favorite part in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite stories. See you next time. The warehouse roared into chaos. Metal shrieked against metal, footsteps thundered like a stampede, and the air split with the sound of gunfire. Through it all, Ryder moved like a ghost, a blur of lethal grace, taking down one threat after another. Beside him, Ella was a force of nature, her aim steady, her shots precise, providing critical support and dropping gang members left and right. "You're amazing," Ryder yelled over the deafening noise, diving for cover behind a stack of crates. "You taught me," Ella's voice shot back, her eyes shining with a fierce, unbreakable determination. Then, the chaos stilled for a heartbeat. Into the relative quiet stepped Angelo Viscari, the gang leader. A cold, calculated grin spread across his face, his eyes devoid of warmth. The air crackled with tension as Ryder and Ella faced him, standing together as a single unit. Ryder's hand found Ella's wrist, his grip firm, a silent promise, a reassurance that they were in this together. What happened next was a blur of perfect coordination. Ryder deliberately drew Viscari's fire, a dangerous dance of distraction. In that split second, Ella kicked a heavy barrel, sending it rolling and crashing into Viscari with brutal force. His weapon clattered to the concrete floor before he could recover. Ryder was on him, a swift, precise strike that ended the fight instantly, and then his silence. The storm that had been raging outside seemed to have finally passed, its quiet mirroring the sudden calm that settled over the cavernous warehouse. The remaining gang members had melted away into the night, leaving only echoes and long shadows in their wake. Ryder let out a long, ragged breath, his voice hoarse. "It's over." Ella's hands began to shake as the adrenaline finally started to fade. We did it." He walked towards her, his movements slow and deliberate. He gently brushed a stray strand of hair from her face, his gaze lingering, his eyes holding a world of unspoken emotions. "You were incredible," he said, his voice soft now. "I couldn't have done it without you." A genuine smile touched her lips, her heart hammering against her ribs for a reason that had nothing to do with the fight. We make a good team. A slow, dangerous, yet tender smile curved Ryder's lips. The best team. The moment stretched. Suspended in time, a perfect blend of victory, romance, and raw intimacy. Then he closed the small distance between them and pulled her into a slow, deliberate kiss. There were no interruptions this time, no chaos, no ringing phones, no imminent danger. There was only them, the heat of the moment. The culmination of so much tension built over long nights of fear, near-death experiences, and a desire that had grown too strong to ignore. Ella's hands came up to press against his chest, partly to steady herself, partly just to feel him there, solid and real, and in that quiet, breathless moment, she realized something she hadn't let herself admit until now. She belonged right here. With him, in the storm, in the calm, and in every single heartbeat in between. Thank you for watching this story unfold. If you were on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. See you in the next one. Here, he said, his voice low, barely above a whisper, for surviving today, and for surviving me. A soft, trembling laugh escaped her lips, a sound born of pure exhaustion and profound relief. We survived together. He gently brushed a stray, damp lock of hair from her face. It was from the unexpected warmth of his touch, the magnetic pull of his presence that seemed to ground her. There was no gang, no bullets, no ever-present danger. Thanks for watching this scene. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more chapters of our story. We'd love to have you with us. See you next time. Later, as the sun began to rise, painting the sea in shades of gold and soft pink, they sat together on the deck. The horizon stretched out before them, looking endless, as if it held every possibility imaginable. Ryder's hand found its way to hers, his fingers weaving through hers in a touch that had become so familiar, yet it still sent a jolt of electricity through her. I should have said it sooner, he murmured, his voice raw with emotion. But I've fallen for you, Ella. Completely. Her heart skipped a beat. A powerful mix of relief, joy, and pure longing swirled inside her chest. I feel the same, she admitted, her own voice barely a whisper. I was just so scared of saying it. He turned to face her fully, his intense green eyes locking with hers. No more running, he said, his voice firm. No more hiding. Not from them and not from us. I don't want to lose you again. Ella felt a tightness in her chest, but this time it was different. It was a feeling of certainty. You won't, she promised. I trust you and I trust us. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, every moment to reconsider. She didn't. Instead, she tilted her face upward, meeting him halfway, letting him close the final distance between them. Their lips met in a kiss that was slow and lingering. A kiss filled with promise and a profound sense of release. It was as if the storm of tension, fear and desire that had been building between them for weeks had finally, beautifully, unraveled. Their hands explored gently, their hearts sensing into a rhythm that was all their own. When they finally pulled back, Ryder pressed his forehead against hers. They were both breathing heavily. His eyes soft and full of affection. I'll keep you safe, he whispered. A solemn vow, for as long as you'll let me. A genuine smile spread across Ella's face as her fingers traced the intricate lines of the tattoos on his forearm. Then I guess we have forever ahead of us. The sea stretched out endlessly before them. A perfect mirror of the infinite possibilities that now lay open. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about building a life together, a life founded on trust, on the fire that had brought them together, and on unspoken promises that no danger or distance could ever hope to undo. They had found their closure, and in doing so, had discovered their beginning. What a beautiful, breathtaking journey it's been to watch their story unfold. From strangers caught in a storm to souls finding their forever in each other's arms, it just goes to show you that sometimes the greatest treasures are found in the most unexpected of places. Thanks for joining us on this incredible adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that will capture your heart. See you next time. Days later, life had found a semblance of normalcy, a quiet rhythm that felt both earned and fragile. The looming shadows of the city and the ghost of the gang had receded. Becoming faint echoes in their memory, Ryder and Ella fell into a comfortable routine of training, laughing and making quiet plans for a future they were building together, brick by brick. They were honing their skills, not just for survival, but for the life they wanted to live. The trials they had endured hadn't broken them. Instead, they had forged a bond of steel, turning them into a team, a true partnership. They were stronger, not just as individuals, but as a unit. But even here, in the sanctuary of their safe house perched on the cliffs, the world had a way of whispering reminders. True peace, it seemed, was a fleeting luxury. It started subtly, a shadow, too quick and deliberate to be a bird, flitted across the cliff face at dusk. A few nights later, the distant roar of a motorcycle engine would cut through the quiet, a sound that always seemed to stop just short of their hidden driveway. A phantom presence lurking just beyond their sight, Ryder, ever vigilant, noticed it first. One evening, as they watched the sun bleed into the horizon, his eyes narrowed, his body tensing almost imperceptibly. He didn't look at her, but his voice was low and steady, a quiet command that sent a familiar shiver down her spine. Stay close, he murmured, his hand finding hers, fingers lacing through her own. It wasn't a gesture of fear, but one of steadfast protection, a silent promise. Ella's pulse quickened, a familiar response to the scent of danger. But this time, something was different. The cold spike of fear was there, yes, but it was tempered by an unshakable certainty, a deep-seated confidence that had been absent before. She looked up at him, her hair catching the last golden rays of the sunset, turning it to fire. A small, determined smile played on her lips. "Whatever it is," she said, her voice filled with a newfound strength, "we can handle it." He leaned down and kissed her temple, his lips a soft, warm promise against her skin. Together, he whispered, the single word an unbreakable vow. The horizon before them was a picture of perfect tranquility. A calm sea under a painted sky, but those subtle threats, those whispers on the wind, were a clear message. Their story was far from over. The danger they had outrun was patient, and it would return. The stakes would undoubtedly rise, and new adventures, whether sought or thrust upon them, would call their names. But for now, in this quiet moment between storms, they had each other, and for now, that was more than enough. Thanks for watching, and if you're as excited as we are to see what happens next, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. See you in the next one.